In 2025, the world bought a staggering $3 trillion worth of oil. And guess what? Almost all of that was paid for using just one single currency. Today, we're going to uncover a hidden financial system that quietly rules the entire globe. $3 trillion. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's just because the US dollar is the most stable currency, right? Actually, no. There is a massive hidden reason behind this. It's a story and a secret deal that they definitely do not teach you in school. So the big question is, why only one currency? This absolute dominance didn't just magically happen because of the free market. No way. It all goes back to a secret deal struck right in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert in 1974, a deal the world now knows as the Petrodollar. Part 1. The Crisis of the 1970s. To understand this, we've got to rewind a bit. See, back in the day, any country could just exchange their US dollars for actual physical gold. But America had printed way more dollars than they had gold in the vault. So on August 15, 1971, President Nixon suddenly snapped that link, closing the gold window forever. And things went from bad to worse during the Yom Kippur War in October 1973. Arab nations actually refused to sell oil to the US, and prices skyrocketed from $3 to $12 a barrel. America was terrified. They desperately needed a new anchor for their currency, something that would force every single country to keep using it. Enter Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. He goes to Saudi Arabia and pitches this incredibly high-stakes deal. He basically says, look, you sell all your oil exclusively in US dollars and take that extra cash and invest it into US Treasury bonds. In return, we will arm you and our military will protect your oil fields. It was brilliant. In 1974, the Saudis agreed, and within a year, the rest of the OPEC nations followed suit. Just like that, the petrodollar was born. Part 2. The Petrodollar Recycling Loop. This created an absolutely perfect loop. Think about it. If a country like Japan or Germany wants to buy oil, they can't just use their own money. They have to buy US dollars first. This guarantees an infinite, massive global demand for the dollar. And those oil-rich nations like Saudi Arabia, they take those billions of extra dollars and invest them right back into American banks and bonds. This genius little cycle is known as petrodollar recycling. And what does the US do with that money? They use it to fund the very military that protects those same oil fields, keeping the oil flowing and the cycle spinning. Economists actually call this America's exorbitant privilege, because literally the entire world is forced to use the dollar. The US gets to borrow money for cheap, run these huge national deficits, and essentially push its own inflation out onto the rest of the globe. Part 3. The Weaponized Dollar. Here's where it gets intense. The dollar isn't just money anymore. It's basically the financial internet. The entire global grid of trade, banking, and debt runs right through it. So if the US gets mad at a country, they can just kick them off the grid, bring that nation's economy to a dead stop. US sanctions are so uniquely terrifying because it's literally like pulling the plug on a country's economy. Over the years, a few leaders have tried to break free from this, and looking at the history, there's a pretty undeniable correlation. In the year 2000, Saddam Hussein wanted to sell Iraq's oil in euros. 3 years later, the US invaded Iraq. In the 2010s, Libya's Gaddafi pushed for a gold dinar currency. In 2011, there was a NATO intervention. And then you have Venezuela, sitting on the world's largest oil reserves. Nicolas Maduro tried to bypass the dollar with a crypto called the Petro in 2018. The US hit them with severe sanctions, and in 2026, a US military operation actually captured him. Now, of course, all these conflicts had incredibly complex political reasons, but this pattern of challenging the dollar system, it's definitely there. Part 4. The Turning Point. But guys, this invincible global machine, it's finally showing some serious cracks. In 2022, when the US froze nearly $300 billion of Russia's foreign reserves, the rest of the world panicked. Suddenly, every country realized that their dollar savings were only really theirs as long as America gave them permission. And that fear? It's causing massive economies to scramble for the exits. China is rapidly dumping its US Treasury bonds, slashing its holdings from $1.3 trillion down to around $600 billion. Russia and China are now trading with each other in yuan and rubles. Brazil is settling trade in local currencies. India, they've started paying for Russian oil in rupees. And maybe the biggest shocker of all, Saudi Arabia, the very country that birthed the petrodollar, has explicitly stated they are now completely open to trading in non-dollar currency. The numbers do not lie. Back in 2001, the US dollar made up about 72% of global reserves. Today, that number has tumbled to under 58%. Meanwhile, the share of the Chinese yuan and other local currencies is creeping up. The world is frantically trying to diversify its money. We're seeing this massive shift in two other huge ways right now. First, central banks are hoarding gold like never before, buying over 1,000 tons just during the 2024 gold rush. Second, look at the roads. In 2025, 1 in every 4 cars sold globally is electric. Think about it. If the world doesn't need as much oil, they definitely won't need as many dollars to buy that oil. So, what does this all mean? Is the reign of the petrodollar finally ending? Well, the machine is still running. The dollar still handles about 88% of all foreign exchange, and there isn't just one single currency stepping up to replace it yet. But for the first time in 50 years, the American financial empire isn't facing just one big rival. It's facing 1,000 small challengers, all moving at exactly the same time. Keep an eye on this because the global financial map is being redrawn right in front of us. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.